You know, the oil companies went to Congress and they were testifying. You know, I think they actually did it over Zoom. But, you know, they have no control over pricing is what they say. They say that the market dictates the prices of oil, etc., etc., etc. The one thing they forget to tell you is that they make the market, right? The other thing that they forget to tell you is that with the windfall that's coming into them, they could supposedly invest that into making sure things don't get where they are today. One of the reasons I have always been for the nationalization of certain parts of our economy is that you cannot trust that vital parts of your economy dependent on people filling their pockets with money can ever be run efficiently for the people and not for the corporation, the shareholders. Again, Milton Friedman said it. The sole purpose of the corporation is to enrich the shareholders. And therefore, when it comes to things like critical things of need, we should not depend on the benevolence of those who run corporations or those who own corporations to expect that goodness, that we would get anything other than they will take as much as they can from us. And that's the reason why certain parts of our economy, healthcare, energy, and other parts need not be within the profit domain. But I want you to listen to this piece. Stephanie Ruhle kind of exposed them. Let's go ahead and listen to this, and then we'll go ahead and take it on the other side.
Americans today are facing extraordinarily high gas prices at the pump. The average price of a gallon of regular gasoline 1 year ago was under $3. Today, the average is over $4 a gallon, and in some places, it's nearly $6 a gallon. These prices are straining our constituents' budgets and their patience.
Some of America's top oil executives were brought, you saw that, before a House subcommittee today to get a grilling from lawmakers.
Why is the price of oil coming down, but the price at the pump is still near record highs?
The American people are getting ripped off as these companies choose to keep production low so that their own profits stay high.
It's time for the big oil companies to lower prices rather than pad your bottom line.
It feels like gouging. It even feels like profiteering.
But you'll never guess who the Republicans on the committee thought was actually to blame for high gas prices.
President Biden walked in day one with an agenda to kill American energy.
Rather than deflect blame, President Biden should consider his own culpability.
Today is purely political. President Biden needs cover for his war on American energy that has caused gas prices to skyrocket.
This might be a good time to let you know that members of this very subcommittee received a whopping $383,000 from big oil. And according to the FEC, 97% of that money went to Republicans. So what do the oil executives have to say about the high prices Americans are paying at the pump? They said it's not their fault.
We do not set or have significant influence over the price of our products.
No single company sets the price of oil or gasoline. The market establishes the price.
Shell does not set or control the price of crude oil. Similarly, Shell does not set or control the price that consumers pay.
It is true. They do not set the price of oil. And it is also true that during the height of COVID, when oil prices dropped, so did their profits. But as oil prices have gone up, last year they made more money than they have in 8 years. And since the start of this year, they're expected to make even more. But here's what matters. Where are they spending all of that money? On buybacks and dividends for shareholders, not increasing production.
Now, it is important that you understand that last sentence that she just said. It is very important. Prices are very high. They're shipping this because there's this stuff they call inflation. But what is inflation? Inflation is the prices that they set. When they tell you that they don't have control of the pricing, they are lying. When Shell has a store and he determines what he's going to sell that gas price for, it's his pricing. When the stockbrokers decide to have trading on a barrel of oil, they can decide to take it or not. They produce it throw it on the market and let the market decide. And you know what the market is? The market is there on both sides of the market. They're on the production side, they're on the consumer side, they're on every side of the market. So when they tell you they don't control the market, they're lying. But anyhow, let's assume that was true. And just by the figment of their goodness, they start to make all this extra cash because inflation is so high. They bring in a lot more money. And you get the same amount of product, but they bring in a lot more money. And supposedly, the reason for inflation, right, is as prices go higher and profits increase, that creates the incentive to go ahead and drill more or do what's necessary. Invest into having a better electro whatever kind of a business. That is what you do to mitigate it, right? But that's not what they did. They decided to take the extra cash and buy back their stock, pay dividends to the shareholders, and bonuses to the executives. In other words, I want you guys who always defend these people to understand what is happening here. We're taking all this money from those poor people. That mother with a kid who now has to spend another $100 a week on gas. That sick person who has to get to the hospital. He is going to have to pay that much more for the gas to get him to the hospital. So that they take your money and put it into the pockets of a few, just a few, wealthy stockholders of these corporations and the bonuses from these people. I have friends in the oil industry and they say, you know what, man? We got a big bonus. I know. I'm happy you got the bonus. But do you realize that was bread out of a hungry person's mouth? That was milk out of a kid's mouth. Because that parent couldn't buy it because she or he had to buy more gasoline. That is our system. And that's why we need, on things that are materially important to the American people, we shouldn't relegate it to a profit motive like these oil criminals. These oil criminals that they are, when I talk about abstracted ill will, abstracted evil. They do evil, but it's abstracted because they don't see that baby without the milk because of the higher prices that they now get in the form of a dividend. In other words, I take the money from the poor person and I give it to that person who is getting a dividend. That rich person who is getting the dividend. I take the money from that person who needs support, but they have to use, they can't because they need more gas, and I give it as a bonus. Do you get it? Inflation isn't magical. Inflation isn't something that just happens. Inflation is the concerted effort by the people with pricing power to say, I'm going to take your money because I can. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.